When a woman craves an older man, she always tests him with these two questions, psychology tricks. Real attraction doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself quietly to those who know how to pay attention. Have you ever noticed how some women never flirt in obvious ways, never chase, never make the first move, especially when the man they're interested in is older? It's not because they're unsure or uninterested, it's because they don't want to appear needy, impulsive, or too available. Instead of being direct, they observe, they listen, and they ask questions that seem casual on the surface but are anything but accidental. What most men never realize is this. When a woman feels drawn to an older man, she almost always tests him with two very specific questions. These questions aren't random, and they're not just conversation fillers. They are subtle psychological signals, hidden in plain sight, designed to reveal who you really are beneath the surface. Many men over 50 quietly believe they've become invisible to women, whether to younger women or even to women their own age. But the truth is quite the opposite. A mature man often becomes most attractive at the moment he finally understands how women think. The real problem has never been women themselves. It's misunderstanding. It's walking away from an interaction thinking she was just being polite, when in reality she was opening a small door and waiting to see if you would notice. Women rarely express interest directly. Instead, they pay attention to your emotional steadiness, your presence, and your awareness. Feminine psychology works softly and indirectly. And when a woman begins to see you as a man she could trust emotionally, physically, and intimately, her energy shifts. The conversation stops being casual and starts becoming intentional. That is the moment she begins to ask questions, not to gather information, but to feel whether you are the kind of man she can lean into without fear. The psychology behind her questions. Here's the truth most men never hear, and it matters more as you get older. When a woman feels drawn to an older man, she rarely announces it. She investigates it, and that investigation almost always arrives disguised as two simple questions that look casual but are anything but casual. Beneath them live subtle psychology tricks, rooted in female psychology, and deeply connected to how attraction quietly forms and how to fall in love without embarrassment or risk. These questions are designed to reveal three things at once: your inner strength, whether you are steady or secretly unsure of yourself, your emotional and practical availability, and your awareness. Awareness matters. It means your ability to recognize genuine interest when it shows up softly instead of loudly. This is where many men misread the moment, especially men over 35, 50, or 60. They grew up in a time when interest was stated plainly and signals were obvious. Today, attraction moves differently, even among mature women. A woman does not usually say, "I'm attracted to you." She feels first, she tests second, she speaks last, if she speaks at all. Instead of making a bold move, she asks questions that seem harmless, reflective, or even philosophical. These questions are not random. They are carefully chosen probes meant to answer one silent question in her mind. Is this man safe for my interest? Safe does not mean boring. Safe does not mean predictable. It means emotionally steady, self-directed, and unthreatened by curiosity. So when she asks about your past, your current life, your priorities, or your view on relationships, she is not collecting trivia. She is checking for grounding. She is checking whether you are anchored in who you are or still negotiating with old disappointments. Here is the quiet fear many women carry, especially with older men. If she shows interest too clearly and too early, she worries he will misread it. He may see it as neediness. He may see it as impatience. He may see it as longing. So she tucks her attraction inside curiosity. She wraps it in conversation. She lets it travel through questions instead of declarations. This is pure female psychology at work. Not manipulation, not games, just self-protection mixed with hope. Attraction makes people vulnerable, and women know this instinctively, so the questions arrive gently, often once, sometimes twice, rarely more than that. Women almost never repeat the same emotional invitation if it goes unnoticed. That is where awareness becomes everything. Missing these moments is not about age. It is not about intelligence. It is about attention. It is about listening beyond the words. It is about understanding that tone, timing, and warmth matter more than the question itself. This is why these moments feel confusing to men who expect clear signals. Clarity today often whispers instead of shouts. If you respond defensively, dismissively, or with insecurity masked as humor, the door quietly closes. No drama, no confrontation, no explanation. You may never even know it happened. Don't rush to impress. Don't over-explain. Don't shrink your story to fit what you think she wants to hear. Be calm. Be present. Be rooted in your life as it is now. The real test is not your past success or your future plans. It is whether you are at peace with yourself in the present moment. That is what those two questions are measuring. When you answer from a grounded place without trying to control the outcome, something shifts. Confidence is not volume, it is ease. Ease tells her she can move closer without losing herself. This is how psychology tricks become connection instead of confusion. This is how female psychology reveals interest without forcing exposure. This is how to fall in love later in life without chasing or guessing. Love at this stage does not need performance, it needs perception. The man who understands this does not demand clarity. He creates safety for it. He listens. He responds thoughtfully. He lets the conversation breathe. In doing so, he answers the question behind the question, which is always the same. Can I lean in without regret? When the answer feels like yes, attraction deepens naturally, quietly, and powerfully. The most meaningful connections are not sparked by loud declarations. They are born from subtle understanding, steady presence, and the wisdom to recognize when curiosity is actually desire in disguise, guided by psychology tricks, shaped by female psychology, and unfolding through a mature, patient path on how to fall in love. Why women use questions instead of direct signals. Feminine psychology is layered and subtle, especially when a woman feels drawn to an older man. Men and women move toward attraction in different ways. When a man is interested, he usually acts. He offers help. He gives direction. He shows support. He steps in and does something tangible. Action feels natural to him. That is how he expresses interest. A woman, however, moves through curiosity first. When she is drawn to someone, she asks a question that gently leans toward closeness, not because she is uncertain, not because she lacks confidence, but because questions are her way of opening emotional space. This difference matters. Miss it, and you miss the moment. Understand it, and you understand how women decide who feels safe, steady, and worth moving toward. There are many questions a woman might ask in daily life, and most of them mean nothing romantic at all, but only two questions appear again and again when she is carefully exploring intimacy with a mature man. These are not random. They are not small talk. They are quiet tests, not harsh tests, not judgmental ones, gentle ones. Think of them as doors she opens just an inch to see whether you notice. She is not asking because she wants to invade your life or collect details. She asks because she wants to feel your emotional temperature. She wants to sense something deeper. Is he calm? Is he steady? Is he comfortable with himself? Is he open to my presence? Does he stand confidently in his masculine energy? Or does he retreat into politeness and distance? That is what she is really asking. These questions are not about information. They are about connection. They are designed to create a small emotional pull between you and her, a moment of shared space, a pause where something real can happen. Think of them as bridges she places gently in front of you. She is watching to see whether you step forward with presence or hesitate with uncertainty. Don't rush across the bridge. Don't pretend it isn't there. Be aware. Be grounded. Be yourself, without defense. That response alone tells her more than words ever could. Many men misunderstand this, especially men who grew up when attraction was spoken more directly. In the past, signals were clearer. People said what they meant. Today, attraction is more layered. Women have learned to protect their interest until they feel emotional safety. This is not a flaw, it is adaptation. And this is where the idea of a high-value man quietly enters the picture. A high-value man does not need attraction spelled out for him. He reads the room. He senses tone. He listens between the words. He doesn't demand clarity. He allows it to emerge naturally. When a woman asks one of these questions, she is also checking your emotional availability. Not your schedule, not your status, your availability. Can you be present without trying to control the moment? Can you answer honestly without oversharing or performing? Can you stay relaxed without pulling away? That balance is rare, and rarity is attractive. This is why men who naturally attract women later in life are not the loudest ones. They are the steadiest ones. They don't chase. They don't withdraw. They stay centered. Don't confuse calm with passivity. Calm is strength under control. Calm signals that your life is already full, not waiting to be filled by her approval. That is masculine energy in its most grounded form, not forceful, not distant, simply stable. When a woman feels that, her curiosity deepens. She asks again, or she lingers longer in the moment, or she softens her tone. Those are invitations, subtle ones, real ones. This is also where many men unintentionally close the door. They answer too quickly. They joke to avoid depth. They over-explain to impress. Or they stay overly formal, afraid of stepping into emotional space. Don't do that. Don't hide behind politeness. Be warm without pushing. Be open without chasing. That is how you attract women without effort, not by strategy, by presence. Understand this clearly. A woman asking these questions is not trying to test your worth. She is testing the experience of being near you. How does it feel? Is there ease? Is there curiosity? Is there emotional flow? A high-value man understands that attraction is felt, not negotiated. He doesn't try to win. He allows connection to unfold. That patience is magnetic. When you respond well, something subtle shifts. Her body relaxes, her voice softens, her attention stays. That is how attraction grows, quietly, naturally. This is how women decide whether they want to move closer, not physically first, but emotionally. And emotional closeness always comes before anything else. If you want to attract women as a mature man, stop waiting for obvious signals. Start paying attention to gentle ones. Be steady, be calm, be intentional. You must understand that these questions are not traps. They are opportunities. Opportunities to show that you are grounded, that you are emotionally present, that you carry masculine energy without needing to prove it. This is how a high-value man moves through the world. He doesn't rush connection. He doesn't fear it either. He recognizes when curiosity is actually interest. He steps forward with warmth, not pressure. And that is exactly why women feel drawn to him. Not because he tries harder, but because he understands how attraction actually works, and he meets it with quiet confidence, steady presence, and the kind of masculine energy that makes connection feel safe, natural, and real. And now it's your move. If you understand that women don't chase with words but invite with questions, prove you're paying attention. Drop this in the comments right now. I recognize the invitation and I step forward with presence. Like this video, subscribe for more clear-eyed psychology tricks and remind yourself daily, connection isn't rushed, it's recognized. The first question, emotional availability. When a woman feels drawn to an older man, it is rarely about age itself. It is almost always about depth, about steadiness, about the quiet sense of safety that comes from a man who has lived, learned, fallen, rebuilt, and now stands grounded in who he is. That is why her first test is subtle, ordinary on the surface, razor sharp underneath. The first thing she probes is emotional availability, not your calendar, not your workload, not how busy you are, but whether your heart still has space, whether your inner life is open or sealed shut. She is not asking casually. She is reading you. She is listening not only to your words, but to the energy behind them. This is a psychological question, a soft scan of your inner world, a way to know whether the door is open or locked after years of responsibility, routine, pressure, and impact with life. When she asks if you spend a lot of time alone, if you usually go out by yourself, if you seem like someone who enjoys solitude, it sounds harmless. It is not. It is precise. Because what she is really asking is whether you can connect or whether you live entirely inside habits and structures that leave no room for anyone else. Women learn early not to waste emotional energy, so they test before they invest. They test whether they can step closer without being pushed back, whether warmth will be met with presence or resistance. This question is never about loneliness. It is never about your dating history. It is about emotional access. A man can enjoy solitude because he is full, grounded, and at peace. Or he can hide in solitude because he is closed, guarded, and unavailable. Those two states feel completely different, instantly, without explanation. Presence is felt before it is understood. A man shaped by Old Stoic wisdom understands this instinctively. He does not panic. He does not defend. He does not perform. He answers calmly, clearly, from lived truth. He knows emotional availability is not weakness. It is strength refined over time. It is the ability to remain open without losing your center, to connect without dissolving yourself. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote that true strength is keeping the mind steady amid what you cannot control. In modern life, men are stretched thin by work, pressure, and constant stimulation. Many become efficient but distant, productive but unreachable, successful yet closed. Women sense this immediately. That is why they ask early, quietly. When you respond without over-explaining, without posturing, without hiding, you signal an iron mind, a mind that has been trained, tested, tempered. This is where Stoicism win shows up in real life, not as theory, not as quotes on a wall, but as posture, breath, presence. Authority does not come from control. It comes from self-command. A man with self-command does not need to appear mysterious or distant to feel valuable. He is valuable because he is grounded, because he can say, without saying it directly, that he enjoys his own company and is not afraid of yours. That balance is rare today. That rarity is power. Carl Jung said that when two personalities meet, both are changed if there is a real reaction. She is testing whether contact with you creates warmth or coldness, openness or deflection. The advice here is direct and demanding. Build a full inner life. Leave space in it. Enjoy solitude. Do not hide inside it. Create structure. Do not become rigid. Rigidity repels. Steadiness invites. This is the quiet lesson of Old Stoic wisdom. Mastery is internal before it is external. Discipline without openness becomes a cage. Openness without discipline becomes chaos. The man who masters both develops an iron mind that does not flinch when closeness appears. When the question comes, answer like a man with nothing to prove, nothing to defend. Calm confidence speaks louder than strategy. This is how Stoicism win expresses itself, through simplicity, through restraint, through presence. Maya Angelou said, "People may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel." What she is measuring in that first question is the feeling of approaching you. Does it feel safe, grounded, open, or tense and closed? When you cultivate this level of self-mastery, you do not just attract women, you attract respect, trust, peace. A man who trains his iron mind, who lives by Old Stoic wisdom, who understands that Stoicism win means winning against fear rather than people, carries a quiet victory with him, a victory that lasts, a victory that deepens with time, a victory that turns a simple question into an open door instead of a wall. The second question, inner direction. When a woman feels drawn to an older man, when curiosity turns into something warmer and more personal, she almost always reaches for a second question. And this one goes far deeper than most men realize, because it is not about your job title, not about how much you earn, not about your resume or your next promotion. It is about your inner direction, the invisible compass that guides your choices, your pace, your presence. And she asks it in a way that sounds simple but carries real weight. What are you looking for these days? Do not underestimate this moment. Do not brush it off with a casual answer. That is not small talk. That is not filler conversation. That is a quiet psychological doorway, one of the most subtle psychology tricks in female psychology. And it is where she decides whether you feel like a man who is grounded or a man who is merely passing time. She is listening for purpose, not ambition. She is sensing movement, not noise. She wants to feel that your life has direction even if it is still unfolding, that you wake up knowing why you stand where you stand, that you are not chasing approval or drifting from distraction to distraction, because women do not emotionally open to men who feel lost inside. They open to men who feel anchored, men who carry a calm sense of, this is who I am, even when life is still in motion. Be clear here. Be honest. Be steady. You must understand that this question is her way of asking, without pressure and without accusation, whether you know yourself, whether you respect your own path, whether you are moving forward with intention or simply reacting to whatever comes next. In female psychology, direction equals safety, and safety is what allows attraction to soften into intimacy. She is not demanding certainty about the future. She is feeling for coherence in the present. That is why vague answers weaken the moment. Saying, I don't know, I'm just seeing what happens, tells her you are floating. Saying, I'm busy with work, tells her you are hiding behind tasks. Do not do that. Speak from the inside out. Say what matters to you now. Say what you are building in yourself. Say what kind of life you are shaping, even if it is still imperfect. That is how to fall in love, slowly, naturally, without force. This is one of those psychology tricks that is not about manipulation, but about clarity, and clarity is deeply attractive. Older men often have an advantage here, not because of age, but because life has already stripped away illusions. And when you speak from experience instead of ego, your words land differently. She wants to hear that you are engaged with your life, that you choose your days instead of escaping them, that you have values you live by and boundaries you respect. That is masculine stability in its quiet form. Not loud, not performative, just present. Do not sell yourself. Do not impress. Be aligned. That is what she is testing, whether your inner world has structure, whether your choices come from intention rather than fear, whether you are walking somewhere meaningful even if the road is still being drawn. In How to Fall in Love, this moment matters more than chemistry because chemistry fades without direction, but direction deepens connection over time. She is asking herself, can I relax around this man? Can I trust his sense of self? Does his life feel like it has a spine? And when your answer carries that quiet confidence, when it reflects self-awareness and movement, something inside her softens, because female psychology responds to men who know where they stand, even when they are still growing. That is the truth most men miss. This question is not about the future. It is about presence. It is about whether you inhabit your life fully. Use that moment wisely. Answer it with substance. Answer it with heart. That is how attraction turns into something real, how to fall in love without chasing it, and why this simple question remains one of the most powerful psychology tricks hidden in plain sight. If this message hit home, don't just scroll past it. Pause, reflect, and take action. Like this video, subscribe for more insights into attraction, connection, and the deeper layers of psychology that most people never talk about. Now I want to hear from you. Go to the comment section and write this sentence to lock the lesson into your mind and show the algorithm you're paying attention. I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I don't drift. She is testing your ability to lead emotionally. When a woman craves an older man, what she is truly reaching for is not surface-level stability, not comfort, not even experience alone, but something far more subtle and powerful. Emotional leadership that comes from within. This is the part most men misunderstand. They think attraction is built by saying the right things, by explaining themselves, by proving value. Don't do that. That is not what she is testing. The two questions she asks are not interviews. They are not information-gathering exercises. They are emotional doorways. They are moments where closeness begins to press in, where her interest quietly asks, can I relax here, or do I need to protect myself? And in those moments, she watches not your words, but your nervous system. She feels your response before she analyzes it. Do you tighten when intimacy approaches? Do you become guarded, overly logical, or slightly defensive? Or do you stay calm, grounded, and fully present, even as the space between you grows smaller. That is the real test, and it has everything to do with whether you embody masculine energy in its mature form. A man who truly knows how to attract women does not rush to manage the moment. He does not grab control of the conversation. He does not try to steer her emotions with clever lines or explanations. Be clear about this. Emotional leadership is not about force. It is about steadiness. It is about staying anchored when feelings rise. When you remain relaxed, when your tone stays warm, when your presence feels unshaken, something important happens inside her. She feels that her emotions will be met, not dismissed, guided, not ignored, held, not left to wander alone. That feeling is rare, and it is why women respond so strongly to men who carry themselves with ease. This is one of the defining traits of a high-value man, not because he is perfect, but because he is internally organized. His inner world is not chaotic. His reactions are measured. His attention is deliberate. That calm presence becomes a quiet promise. You don't have to carry everything by yourself here. This is why older men often carry a natural advantage, not because of age itself, but because life has already tested them. Experience has taught them that tension ruins connection, that defensiveness blocks intimacy, that over-explaining kills attraction. A man who has learned this no longer reacts from fear when closeness appears. He doesn't stiffen. He doesn't pull away emotionally while staying physically present. He stays. He listens. He breathes. He responds slowly and intentionally. That is emotional leadership in action. And from a woman's perspective, that feels like safety without boredom, depth without pressure. It feels like masculine energy that is settled, not performative. You must understand this if you want to attract women at this stage of life. Attraction now is less about spark and more about regulation, less about excitement and more about trust. When she asks those questions, when she leans in emotionally, she is watching to see whether you can lead without controlling, whether you can stay open without dissolving, whether you can offer structure without rigidity. Don't confuse silence with absence. A calm man is not disengaged. He is choosing his presence carefully. He does not interrupt emotional flow with anxiety. He allows space. He allows pauses. He allows her to feel without rushing to fix or explain. That restraint is powerful. It signals maturity. It signals confidence. It signals that you are not overwhelmed by emotion, yours or hers. This is one of the clearest markers of a high-value man, and it is something women sense immediately, long before they can put words to it. There is a quiet moment that happens in these interactions, often unnoticed by men, where she decides whether she can soften or whether she needs to stay guarded. That decision is not logical. It is visceral. It lives in her body, not her thoughts. Your job in that moment is not to impress. Don't perform. Don't sell yourself. Be present. Be steady. Be emotionally available without being needy. That balance is the heart of masculine energy. It says, I am here with you, and I am also complete within myself. When you hold that posture, she feels free to relax into her own emotions because she senses that you won't disappear, panic, or detach when things get real. This is also why women are drawn to older men who have done their inner work. Not because they talk more, but because they need to say less. Their energy speaks first. Their calm leads before their words ever do. They don't escalate tension, they dissolve it. They don't chase connection, they allow it to come forward naturally. That is how you attract women without effort. That is how you build attraction that lasts beyond novelty. You must recognize that emotional leadership is not about being in charge of her feelings. It is about being responsible for your own. When you manage your inner state well, you create an environment where intimacy can grow safely. So don't rush these moments. Don't fear them. Don't overthink them. Let your presence do the work. Let your steadiness speak. Let your calm become the invitation. This is how a high-value man shows himself without announcing it. This is how masculine energy expresses itself at its most refined. And this is why, when a woman craves an older man, what she is truly craving is not age, not status, not surface stability, but the quiet strength of a man who knows how to stay grounded when intimacy arrives. She is measuring emotional maturity, not age. What many men misunderstand is this: when a woman feels drawn to an older man, she is not chasing age, titles, or the calendar of your life. She is quietly evaluating your emotional command, and she often does this through two deceptively simple questions that act like psychological mirrors. Age alone impresses no one. Emotional maturity speaks instantly, without effort. As Viktor Frankl famously said, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose. Those questions exist to see how you use that space. When you answer, she is not listening for clever words. She is listening for tone, for calm, for clarity, for whether your past still controls you or whether you have already mastered it. A man who has truly lived does not carry resentment like unfinished baggage. He carries perspective. A man who has only aged often speaks with fatigue, frustration, or quiet disappointment, signaling that old battles are still being fought internally. Modern life makes this contrast even sharper. Stress, loss, divorce, financial pressure, and career upheaval are now common terrain, not rare exceptions. So the real question is never, what happened to you? The real question is, what did you become because of it? When your answers reflect steadiness instead of defensiveness, acceptance instead of blame, and ownership instead of complaint, she senses what old Stoic wisdom has taught for centuries. Strength begins in the mind, not the muscles. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That realization is exactly what women are scanning for, because it signals safety, reliability, and emotional leadership without a single boast. This is where Stoicism win is not a slogan, but a lived reality. You don't react, you respond. You don't explain excessively, you clarify. You don't relive old pain. You reference it with calm distance, showing that you learned the lesson and moved forward. In a world obsessed with quick validation and emotional oversharing, this restraint feels rare and magnetic, especially to women who have already seen chaos and instability in relationships. The two questions she asks often seem to be about your past relationships or your outlook on life. Beneath the surface, she is asking something deeper. Are you at peace with yourself? And can you handle discomfort without collapsing emotionally? A man answering from an iron mind does not posture or perform. He states his truth with quiet confidence. He makes it clear that life challenged him, but it did not harden him or close him off. This is where modern advice becomes practical and direct. Stop rehearsing grievances. Stop narrating yourself as a victim of circumstances. Stop carrying old arguments into new conversations. Every time you do, you signal that your past still has authority over you. Instead, train yourself to speak from resolution, not reaction, from insight, not irritation. Emotional maturity is felt long before it is understood intellectually. As Seneca said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." That is why self-command always outshines status, money, or age. When you cultivate this discipline, you naturally embody Old Stoic wisdom, not as theory, but as behavior. And behavior is what women trust, especially in a modern world where stability feels scarce. She is not searching for perfection. She is searching for emotional steadiness. That steadiness creates a sense of victory in everyday life, a sense that you are not scrambling for meaning, but directing it. This is how Stoicism win becomes visible without explanation. Your presence is calm. Your words are deliberate. Your energy is grounded. For men between 35 and 70, this is the ultimate advantage. Youth fades, mastery deepens. Mastery is attractive at any stage of life, especially when it comes from lived experience shaped into wisdom rather than regret. This is where the iron mind becomes your greatest asset. It allows you to navigate conversations, relationships, and challenges with composure and purpose. It turns every interaction into an unspoken demonstration of strength. Modern life rewards this mindset more than ever. Noise, outrage, and distraction dominate the emotional landscape. Calm men stand out instantly. When you speak with clarity, own your past without being trapped by it, and stand firm without needing to convince anyone, you communicate the deepest message of all. You are complete, you are centered, and you are capable of leading yourself through whatever comes next. That, more than age, more than charm, more than words, is what draws a woman in. She senses a man who has walked through storms without losing himself, a man who embodies old Stoic wisdom, a man who proves that Stoicism win is not emotional distance, but emotional command, a man who lives with an iron mind and has already learned how to master life itself. If you understood this message, you already know the truth most men never face. It was never about age, it was always about emotional command, about staying calm, clear, and grounded no matter what life throws at you. That is the line between a man who simply gets older and a man who becomes someone women naturally trust and desire. If this hit home, don't just nod and move on. Prove it to yourself. Go to the comments and write this sentence exactly as it is. I am no longer defined by my past. I answer life with calm, clarity, and emotional strength. She is testing whether you are aware enough to recognize her signal. Here is the deeper truth most men only realize in hindsight, usually when the warmth cools and the connection fades without explanation. When a woman asks those subtle, almost casual questions, she is not searching for facts. She is sensing consciousness, and if you fail to recognize that you are being gently chosen in that moment, she does not correct you. She does not argue. She does not clarify. She simply withdraws with grace and silence, because attraction does not survive being spelled out. It survives being recognized. Don't misunderstand this. Don't assume she is unsure. Be aware. Those two questions are signals wrapped in softness, psychology tricks rooted in female psychology, designed not to confuse you, but to reveal whether you are present enough to feel meaning without needing instruction. Women do not announce desire the way men often do. They open doors and watch who notices. When you miss the opening, the door quietly closes, not out of punishment, but out of self-respect. Can you hear what is not being said? Can you feel the emotional invitation hiding beneath a simple sentence? This is where many men stumble, because they rush to respond instead of pausing to perceive, and perception is everything here. A mature man does not scramble for the right words. He settles into the moment. He reads tone, timing, and emotional space. He answers from awareness, not from performance. That calm recognition is magnetic, because women do not crave speed, they crave accuracy. In female psychology, recognition feels like safety, and safety is the soil where attraction grows. When she asks something that sounds abstract, reflective, or lightly curious, she is often testing whether you can meet her on the emotional frequency she just offered. Don't over-explain. Don't retreat into logic. Be present. Let your response show that you noticed more than the words. That is how to fall in love without forcing anything, because love does not begin with effort, it begins with being seen. Many men believe attraction is built through action alone, but psychology tricks reveal a different truth. Attraction deepens when a woman feels recognized without having to ask for recognition. This is why awareness matters more than charm. A man who needs everything spelled out creates emotional labor, while a man who senses meaning creates ease, and ease is irresistible. You must understand this clearly. Women observe far more than they explain. They offer subtle invitations and watch how you respond, not because they are playing games, but because genuine connection cannot be demanded, it must be discovered. When you react too quickly, you signal anxiety. When you perform, you signal insecurity. When you pause, feel, and respond with grounded clarity, you signal strength without saying a word. That is why older men who carry emotional awareness often feel naturally attractive, because they no longer chase moments, they recognize them. This is not about age itself, it is about presence earned through experience. Psychology tricks work only on men who are half aware. For a fully present man, they are not tricks at all, they are invitations. Don't try to decode her. Be attentive enough to feel her. When she asks a question that feels reflective, relational, or personal, ask yourself what bridge she is offering. Then step onto it calmly. Don't rush across. Don't stand frozen. Simply acknowledge the moment with honesty and composure. That response communicates more than clever language ever could. This is how to fall in love through alignment rather than pursuit. Female psychology responds deeply to a man who recognizes selection, because being recognized feels grounding, and grounding feels safe. Safety allows curiosity to soften into desire. Desire deepens when it is met without pressure. You must remember this. Women do not retreat because you said the wrong thing. They retreat because you missed the moment. Awareness keeps the moment alive. A lack of awareness lets it dissolve. Be the man who notices shifts in tone. Be the man who senses openness without needing confirmation. Be the man who answers with presence instead of noise. That is where attraction transforms into connection. This is not manipulation. This is emotional literacy. This is understanding how to fall in love by honoring subtlety instead of bulldozing it. When you recognize her signal, you tell her without words that she does not need to chase, explain, or justify her interest. That feeling is rare. That feeling is powerful. That feeling is why these psychology tricks exist in the first place. They are not tests meant to trap you. They are mirrors reflecting your level of awareness. And when you meet that mirror with calm recognition, something quiet but profound happens. The conversation slows, the space deepens, and attraction begins to breathe. That is the difference between moments that fade and moments that linger. That is the quiet mastery few men develop and many women long to feel. Be aware, be present, be the man who recognizes before he reacts. That is where real connection begins, and that is how attraction grows without force, without confusion, and without ever needing to be explained. She is testing whether you can hold emotional tension without needing control. When a woman finds herself drawn to an older man, she is rarely chasing words, promises, or quick reassurance. Instead, she is quietly observing how he handles emotional tension, because attraction always carries a delicate charge made of curiosity, uncertainty, and possibility. And the two questions she asks are designed to place him right inside that charge to see what he does next. Does he rush to explain himself? Does he fill the silence with nervous talking? Does he try to steer the moment, secure an outcome, or impress her with logic and effort? Or does he stay present, grounded, and unbothered by not knowing where things will land? That is the real test. A man who can sit comfortably in emotional tension without needing to control it sends a powerful signal that goes far beyond charm or confidence. He shows that he trusts himself, his value, and the unfolding of the moment. And this is where female psychology quietly lights up. Be clear about this. Women who crave older men are not looking for someone who chases certainty. They are drawn to someone who can hold space for uncertainty without anxiety. Don't rush. Don't overtalk. Don't explain your intentions like a contract. When you stay relaxed and centered, you communicate strength without saying a word. And that strength feels calm, not forceful, steady, not rigid. This is one of the most subtle psychology tricks at play, because she may not consciously label it as a test, but instinctively she is asking, can this man stay emotionally present without gripping too tightly? Men who need control often believe they are creating security, yet in female psychology, the opposite happens. Control feels heavy, predictable, and narrow, while emotional steadiness feels open and safe. You must understand this difference. Safety is not built by answers alone. It is built by the way you hold silence, by how you respond without urgency, by your willingness to let attraction breathe. When you answer her questions without pressure and without fear of loss, you show her that being close to you will feel spacious rather than confining, and that sense of space is essential in how to fall in love at a deeper level. Be present, be slow, be grounded. That is not passivity, that is mastery. A man who can remain calm inside emotional tension shows that he does not need her reaction to validate him, and that independence is profoundly attractive, especially to a woman seeking the emotional maturity often associated with older men. Don't mistake this for indifference. It is engagement without attachment, interest without insistence. That balance tells her that intimacy with you will not require her to manage your emotions or reassure your sense of worth. This is why the test matters so much. She is sensing whether closeness will feel like freedom paired with safety or obligation paired with pressure. Psychology tricks are not always clever questions or hidden agendas. Sometimes they are simple moments where a woman watches how a man breathes, pauses, and responds when nothing is guaranteed. In female psychology, a man who can tolerate the unknown without collapsing into explanation or control becomes magnetic because he feels emotionally reliable. He does not rush the story. He allows curiosity to linger. He lets attraction unfold at its own pace. That is how to fall in love without forcing it. When you pass this test, she experiences something rare, the sense that she can move toward you without losing herself. That is why older men who master this quality are remembered long after the conversation ends. They do not chase certainty. They create an atmosphere where certainty is not required. Be that man. Don't fill every gap. Don't seek immediate clarity. Trust the moment. Trust yourself. These are the psychology tricks that are not taught, but felt. The principles of female psychology that quietly decide attraction, and the unspoken lessons in how to fall in love that turn a simple interaction into something unforgettable. All right, my friend, before we close, let me say this gently and honestly. If you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Those two questions are not traps. They are invitations. A woman is not trying to challenge your intelligence or test your lines. She is quietly checking whether you are present, whether you are emotionally awake, and whether being near you feels safe and meaningful. Older men often have one big advantage: calmness. Life has shaped you. Use that. When she asks questions that touch your openness or your direction, slow down. Don't rush to impress. Listen deeply, not just to her words, but to the feeling behind them. That's where attraction lives. My sincere advice to you is simple. Stop guessing. Stop overthinking. Start being fully there. When you show awareness, warmth, and steady presence, you answer her questions without even trying. And remember, women rarely offer the same emotional invitation twice. When the moment comes, meet it with calm confidence and real attention. Thanks for staying with me until the end. Take care of yourself, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next video.